everyone, hey Mashion, this is Asfandyar from Hot Oven by Sea. I hope all of you are doing well. So today I'm going to be teaching you a lamb kofta salad with pomegranate and dried apricots, which is going to be seasoned with a really nice tahini vinaigrette. You can easily make this at home for a small intimate wedding this wedding season. I'm going to start off by adding the dry spices to the ground lamb mixture over here. Roasted paprika, dried tarragon, salt as per your taste, and a bit of sumac. Now this is easily available at the market. A tablespoon of onion and a tablespoon of garlic. I'm going to use my hands to mix this up. So once the spices have been incorporated into the lamb mixture, you want to form the lamb into small kofte like this. Yes, so I'm in the kitchen now to fry the koftas that we had made outside. So I have a pan over here, frying pan, and I'm going to add some olive oil to the pan. And I'm going to put these in the frying pan now. I have some sumac which is going to be added to the koftas. The koftas are finally done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start assembling the salad platter. This is some iceberg lettuce. I'm going to break this into big pieces. I'm going to use these mint leaves now. Grated carrots, pomegranate, and finally the koftas that we had prepared inside. Now for the garlic Greek yogurt, what you need is garlic paste, mint powder, salt for seasoning, and some lemon juice. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of this garlic paste to the Greek yogurt over here. A pinch of salt. This is mint powder. This is going to be added to the garlic Greek yogurt. A bit of lemon juice, and finally some chopped dill. Using a spoon, you want to give this a good mix. And now finally for the vinaigrette, this is about 2 tablespoons of tahini paste that I'm going to add to this bowl over here. About 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, sumac powder, some salt, olive oil, and you want to give this a good stir. The tahini vinaigrette, as you can see, is ready over here. I'm going to pour this on top of the salad. I have some Turkish dried apricots over here which I'm going to chop up and just toss this over the salad like that. Last but not the least, I have some toasted pine nuts over here which I'm going to add on top of the salad. A bit of more sumac, and finally a drizzle of olive oil.
Hi, my name's Dinesh Patel and I am an ex-MasterChef India finalist and a pastry chef here in the UK, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you a recipe for Dum Biryani. It's a recipe that I learned many years ago and I've been making in this kitchen for many years too. It's the perfect dish for you to cook for any home wedding this season. First, we're going to be marinating the lamb. We've taken 500 grams of boneless lamb, to which we've added 3 tablespoons of yogurt, fried onions, 2 tablespoons of garlic ginger paste, a teaspoon and a half of salt, 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, 1 teaspoon of garam masala, 1 teaspoon of coriander powder, and 1 teaspoon of haldi. We'll add a little bit of the oil which we use to fry the onions. That's really important because it adds a lot of flavor to the dish. And then we'll be mixing all of this together and marinating it. Leave to marinate for a good 4 to 5 hours or overnight. Once the lamb has been marinated, we're going to start working on the rice. So we're going to take a pan half filled with water, quite a large pan, to which we're going to add to the water 2 cinnamon sticks or dalchini, 6 to 7 green cardamom, around 1.5 teaspoons of cumin seeds, so jeera, and 2 to 3 cloves. We're also going to add a bay leaf, 4 whole green chilies, a small piece of chopped ginger, and 3 big teaspoons of salt. All of this salt will not be going into the final dish, but it's to make sure that the rice has lots of flavour and it catches the flavour of that salt and these spices. We will now let this mixture and the water come to a boil. In the meantime, make sure that you've washed and kept aside 2.5 cups of basmati rice and just leave that to one side. Once the water has boiled, we're going to tip our raw rice into that mixture and just stir it through, making sure that it catches all of the salt and all of the flavour from those spices, and leave it just to cook ever so slightly for a minute or two. Once that has been cooking for around a minute or two, we're now going to drain the rice out of the water and discard the water, and then we'll soon start layering. So we've got our rice ready on one side and our marinated meat out of the fridge. We're going to first, on the bottom of the pot, add in some of our rice just to create a bit of a barrier and to make sure that it absorbs all of that flavour from the meat whilst it's cooking. Then on the top of our rice, we're going to put some more fried onions, a layer of coriander and mint leaves, and then on top of that, we're going to put all of our raw meat that's been marinated, along with lots of that marinade in there as well. We don't want to lose any of that flavour. On top of our lamb, we're going to add some more fried onions. We're then going to put some more coriander and chopped mint leaves, and we're going to put those 3 and 4 green chilies that we had added to the rice, and then to finish off, we'll be putting all of our rice on top. Now, if at this point you don't like the extra sabat masalas in the actual final dish, do remove them while layering, just so that they're not in the way in the final end product. So once we have finished with all of the rice and it's all in there, we're going to pour some more of that lovely fried onion oil that we reserved on top. We can also put a tablespoon of ghee at this point if you like as well. On top of that, we're going to put some more fried onions, some gevra water just to add a really nice fragrance to it, and a few more mint and coriander leaves. Okay, so now we're ready to seal and cook this biryani. So on top of the rice, I've put a square of butter paper, and on top of that, I will also put a square of tin foil to properly seal in the steam and flavour for this biryani. I'm then going to pop on top of that a nice tight lid to make sure it's nice and secure. So we have a tawa on the gas cooker on a very, very low flame, and we're going to pop this pan onto that tawa and cook it for a good 45 to 50 minutes depending on the heat and intensity of your gas cooker. I find for me 50 minutes is a good point to check the biryani. Usually at this point you'll find the rice is perfect and the meat is cooked. So our dum biryani is now ready, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you to Mashion as well for letting me be a part of this year's Mashaadi.
Hi guys, this is Mahwish Aziz from Sugaries, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a quick dessert at home for your winter weddings for the Mashaadi series. Today we'll be making a profiterole tower. For those of you who don't know what profiteroles are, they're basically really tiny eclairs. So the first thing we need to do for that, we're going to be making the choux pastry. The choux pastry is basically the base or the shell of the eclair. So that's what we're going to be doing now. We require water. So water goes into the pan, and with that we add butter. And you just bring that to a simmer, and you add a nice thick pinch of salt. So now it's coming to a simmer. How do I know it's coming to a simmer is that it's just the steam is coming out and there's no bubbling. And to this I add my flour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to really keep mixing it because I don't want any lumps of the flour to be formed. And the key thing is that what I want is a texture like a mashed potato. So one other thing is that when we add flour to the pan, your pan should be absolutely empty. So if you see my pan, there is no flour stuck anywhere. So I have a clean pan. So I'm going to cook it for another 30 seconds just so that the flour can get cooked really well. We have to add egg. That's the second part of the recipe. If we add eggs to this right now, we're going to have a scrambled egg. So we don't want that. We're going to wait till it cools down for at least 5 to 10 minutes and then we're going to add our eggs. So at this point, what I'd like to do is I put the oven on at about 200 degrees. If you have a gas oven at home, I'd say go for 200 degrees. If you have an electric oven at home, I'd say go for about 190 degrees. So the temperatures are important. Don't ever add all the eggs together. So if you add all the eggs together, it's not going to give you a very nice consistency. What I want to achieve is actually a ribbon-like texture in my choux pastry. I add the yolk first, and then I just add the white comes along with it. So that's a little technique that I learned in culinary school. So I'm going to start mixing this. So I don't want to over mix it. I just want to get to a nice ribbon-like texture. If you see the consistency right now of the batter, it's a very thick consistency. So if I want to pipe my choux pastry with this consistency, I'm not going to be very successful. So I'm going to continue to add more egg. Okay, so now we finally have our batter ready for our choux pastry, and the batter should have a very ribbon-like texture. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have a little small, a pan or a slab that you may call it, and I'm just going to take a little bit of my batter and put it on the corners. So the idea is so that my butter paper does not fly off, in the oven. So I'm going to take a piping bag. So these piping bags are available pretty much everywhere. So I'm just going to pipe in a few. I don't need a nozzle. I don't need anything. If you don't have the piping bags, by the way, you don't have to stress about them. You can simply just use Ziploc bags because they work great. So just going to snip off the top a little bit. What I always like to do is just test on my table. So the table is of course cleaned and sanitized and prepped in advance. So I just like to go on my table and I just like to pipe and turn. Okay, so now that I'm comfortable with this, so I'm going to do slightly medium sized ones. These are smaller ones. So you pipe and you turn. Pipe and turn. Alright, so I'm done with the last profiterole, and I'm just going to be taking the tray now to the oven. Okay, so guys, we have all our profiteroles baked. So if you want to have a closer look, you can have that. That's a tiny profiterole which we're going to be assembling in the shape of a tower. So I'm going to fill it in till the time that I feel like the profiterole has become heavy. So when I let it go, what I like to do is I just like to take the fingertip and flatten it. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with this entire tray over here. So now we've reached the final stages of actually assembling the tower, which is the most fun part. So I've just used a very makeshift, like kind of a magazine cover, and just kind of cleaned it out and made a cone out of it. But you can use anything. So you can use like the dish that you want to present it on. You can use anything. So this is all about really what you have at home. As you remember, we had already filled all our profiteroles with whipped cream. If you like, you can fill it with chocolate cream, you can fill it with caramel and cream, you can fill it with any kind of filling you like. So if somebody likes lemon out there, go ahead and add a few drops of lemon in the whipped cream, and that you'll have like a lemon filling. I have my piping bag filled with my whipped cream. All you do is just put a tiny bit dot on the profiterole, and you want to stick it. I have a freshly filled dark chocolate cone over here, and I'm simply just going to drizzle chocolate all over. Alright guys, so this is the final version of the profiterole tower that I have made today, and the one on the other side is another take which you can make at home. This is been done with caramel, whereas this has a more of chocolate and more of a festive approach. So you can actually do the florals on the other tower as well. So thank you so much for watching this particular episode of the Mashaadi series, and thank you Mashion for having me do this for you guys.